Hello YouTubers and web watchers, TK here for a new episode of NPC Library, where we find out who those non-playable characters are in your world. Now today I was going to do something different. I wanted to try and engage you in a different way so that you had a bit of mystery before you found out what comes next. Now, I've been looking at the game Hollowknight, and I've been seeing all the different types of characters that come from this game. You have characters like the Last Stag that takes you from place to place to find out where you can go and fast travel to. Then you've got the map maker, and you've got the sellers, and those who work and your nails as well. And so I thought I would cover someone who works kind of like a therapist, who instead of you trying to figure out how to take things on yourself, you could go and take things a different path. Now, when I was growing up and I was facing a lot of bullies, I found out that my mum was actually seeking therapy. So I decided to end up seeing therapy myself. And I found out that this therapist that my mum had seen was actually a really good fit for me. I went through a lot of changes through understanding what it meant to be who I am, and instead of facing things by myself, I went and I found that there was an alternative path. The thing is, when it comes to taking life on your own, you can get a little bit flustered, and just like in Hollowknight, you can end up losing your shade. So we have talked a bit about all the characters you meet in Hollowknight, but let's ask ourselves, out of all these characters, who isn't going to fight you as soon as they see you? Who do you mainly see in a safe space? Who will give you an opportunity to come to terms with your most recent failure? That's right, we're talking about Gigi. So, how does Gigi relate to your character, the Knight? Gigi is a confessor hidden in the outskirts of Dirtmouth who helps you come to terms with your recent loss by summoning your last unrecovered shade. But this guy ain't no Flanders. His price is a simple, rancid egg. Wait. Rotten eggs? In Hollowknight, you face a wide variety of hostile creatures, bosses, and what have you. And chances are, you're gonna die. And when you die, you lose all your geo, which is the currency in that game. The only way to get that geo back is to fight your shade. And if you die before you fight your shade, or if you die whilst fighting your shade, that's it. You lose that geo forever. The strange thing is, even though we know this character is right here, we choose not to go to him and try to face the dangerous road head on, which can cost us big time. Sometimes we can feel like we can do this when we don't. Took sells eggs for 70 to 100 geo, so you gotta ask yourself, what costs more, a visit to Gigi or your pride? So what can you do if you want to find a therapist in your world? For some of us, it's difficult to find out who our Gigis are. So we need to think of a certain adult who can meet the type of requirements that are just like Gigi's. Are they someone who we can trust? Do we regularly communicate with them in a safe space? Have they helped you recently in the past with something stressful? Are these people well trusted by other adults? If you answered yes to these, or at least a majority of them, then chances are you may want to turn to them. When communicating, make sure you are clear and discreet. You don't want everyone else hearing your issues, but you don't want to be too quiet. Otherwise, they won't hear you. Let's face it, you have an arsenal. Obviously, funny name, but let's think of it as a mental arsenal. You've got a wide variety of weapons that you can use at your disposal in order to try and become the best person you can be. But what if you don't know how to use those types of weapons, mental weapons that help you get out of certain situations, that give you that type of coping strategy? That's why you have therapists, because they can help you find out those different types of strengths and coping strategies and matters that are important to you. Just like my older brother in the previous video, we have this urge to be the strongest that we can be, the hardest fighters that we can face on the world. But we forget to reflect on what we've been doing, and that can actually come into our detriment. I mean, there have been times where I've been playing video games and I've been so focused on the end goal that I have gone and lost everything. Don't get me started on Nuzlocke challenges and roguelike games, because they have a lot of loss in them. The thing is, in the real world, there can be times where we can feel quite stressed, and we are so goal-orientated that we forget to take that time out to reflect and see someone who's like a therapist in order to learn more about who we are. And so it's important for you to find out who you can seek in the world to help you reflect. I think it's important that we go and recognize who are those therapists that are in our lives, whether it's school counselors, actual therapists, psychiatrists, or people at work who can actually be turned to because certain companies will actually provide that mental health support that you need. So always keep in mind that sometimes you need this strength before you need this strength. Anyway, folks, that's about it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed a new episode of NPC Library. Next week, we're going to find out who are those types of characters that are a bit odd and sometimes get in the way, especially in high school. It's going to be crazy, I tell you. See you next time.